A neuron is a nerve cell that receives and sends electrical signals over long distances within the body. The nucleus is the central part of most cells that contain genetic material. The cytoplasm is the substance between the cell membrane and the nucleus. The dendrite are fibers that receive information and conduct it towards the cell body. Listens/the ears for the cell. An axon passes messages away from the cell body to other neurons, muscles, or glands. Myelin sheath covers the axon of some neurons and helps speed neural impulse. The terminal branch is a club-shaped ending by which axons make synaptic contact with other nerve cells, aka terminal buttons, the speakers/mouth of the cell. The brainstem is the oldest and core of the brain responsible for automatic survival functions. The cerebellum is responsible for processing sensory input and coordinating movement output and balance. The temporal lobe is responsible for memory, understanding, and language. The occipital lobe is responsible for vision. The visual cortex receives input from your eyes. The parietal lobe is responsible for perception, making sense of the world, arithmetic, and spelling. The sensory cortex is responsible for sensations. The motor cortex is responsible for movement. The frontal lobe is responsible for executive functions, thinking, planning, organizing, and problem solving. The angular gyrus transforms visual representations into an auditory code. Broca's area controls speech muscles via the motor cortex. Wernicke's area interprets auditory code. The human memory. All memories begin with a stimulus that is picked up with our sensory organs or our senses. This memory is a sensory memory which is instantaneous. However, if repeated, it can form a short-term memory, and if further repeated, a long-term memory which can be up to days, months, or years. Long-term memories are subcategorized into both explicit memories and implicit memories. There's two types of explicit: episodic and semantic. For implicit, there's 4 types. However, for the purpose of this lesson, we will only worry about one: procedural. An open-ended question such as this is called a recall question, where our brains are asked to recall information that is not present. However, for a multiple choice question, it is called a recognition question, because our brains are meant to recognize the correct answer. Reconstructive memory is an active and inferential process of retrieval whereby gaps in memories are filled in based or prior experiences, logics, and goals. Encoding of memories happens with 4 different categories. Acoustic, which involves any form of audio, visual, which involves any form of representation that can be seen by the eye to create a new memory. Tactile, which can be felt and therefore create a memory of texture, shape, or such. And the one spoken of less is semantic encoding. For example, a symbol such as the railroad looking thing. Depending on the situation, we can recognize it as different things due to top down or bottom up. One is internally driven and the other is externally driven and creates for us to perceive that symbol as different things, all based on perception.